Welcome to the Dawgs Table. Hosted by Craig Fountain and
Ryan Angelo.
get access to special guests. Anyone can join the Dawgs Table. Find the link to join the show in the comments when we go live every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Periscope, and everywhere on the BIGPLAY network. Here's your
Welcome to the Dawgs Table. I'm your host, Craig Fountain, here with Ryan Angelo. How are you doing today, Ryan?
I'm doing good, buddy. How are you?
I am doing outstanding. It's Victory Week.
It is Victory Tuesday. Huh?
Yeah, absolutely. And I see that we have more viewers than normal. So let me take this opportunity to let you guys know that we are the Dawgs Table. We're a Cleveland Browns roundtable discussion show. Now, here's the cool thing about our show. It's kind of like Twitter Spaces when we made the show, but like video. We came up with this concept a couple years ago, and we've had a blast with it. And you can interact with the show via the comments on Facebook or YouTube. Like Justin here. Justin says only a couple more months until Hookers and Blow save Christmas. All right, we're starting off with Hookers and Blow tonight. That's on brand. Ben, thanks for joining the show.
What's up, Ben?
Facebook and YouTube, you can comment, interact with the show. Twitter doesn't allow us to get the comments in the studio yet. But we go live every Tuesday at 9, and about halfway through the show, generally, we will put a link in the comments to the YouTube show and the Facebook show. And you can actually click and join. You can video chat with us. If not, you can just chat with us in the comments. We'll interact with you. You guys kind of control what we talk about ultimately. But yeah, we are brought to you by Labatt Blue Light and Remax Edge Realty, the JC Group. We are part of Team BIGPLAY. BIGPLAY is having a lot of success. Of course, you have the BIGPLAY Reflog show. They've got the new Bernie Kosar show, which is awesome. Cheers, Ben.
Love it.
But tonight, here's what we're going to do. Tonight, we are going to recap the Steelers game. It was a phenomenal win. Victory week has felt so good. And then we're going to kind of talk about some other things, catch you guys up on Browns news, give our thoughts and stuff. Yes, Ben, right in the comments. Yes, Myles. We're gonna talk about that. And then we are actually going to look forward to the Atlanta Falcons game. We are going on the road. So first things first, with the Steelers game, tell me what you guys thought in the comments. I thought that the Browns, they played outstanding. It was a little close until the end, a little too close to comfort given recent events. That being said, they exceeded my expectations for the most part. And I thought it was a phenomenal win. It was a special win at home on primetime Thursday nights. Jeanette, I'm with you. Pittsburgh still sucks.
Yes, they do.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining the show, Jeanette. Yeah, Jacoby played outstanding. I'll get into, I know some of you guys want to hear me talk about Jacoby at this point, so we will get into that in a little bit also.
Jacoby's making me look like a genius. I'm just saying.
But yeah, we will talk a lot about Jacoby. Ryan, give me your thoughts on the Steelers game. Just bird's eye view. How'd you feel coming out of this?
Good. I mean, David Njoku had a good game. Jacoby, obviously, 2 games in a row now. He's managed the offense really well. He's got some harder games coming up in the schedule, so I'm gonna obviously pump the brakes on the hype. But I was pleased overall with the offense. Amari got going. Chubb had a good day. Defense, still leaves a little bit to be desired on the defensive side of the ball, but a lot of injuries on defense too, which was kind of concerning. It seems like the injury bug just destroys the Browns every year. So hopefully that's, hopefully we can kind of bounce back from that. But overall, it was a good team win. I mean, I was happy with what I saw.
I'm going to go ahead and read what Cedric here said. If you guys are listening to the audio replay or your screens are too small, I'll read these out so that you guys know what we're talking about. Cedric chimed in. He said, Pittsburgh is going to have a long season. Our defense concerns me, giving up 30 points to 3 average QBs. All right. This is something that's certainly concerning, right? And we face Baker Mayfield first, then the aging Joe Flacco. And now Mitch Trubisky. And these are not these guys aren't going to blow your doors off, right? So it is a little concerning that even though we've managed the run game quite well, in my opinion, that they're still able to move the ball on us. Now, some of the things we've done well, we've been efficient on offense. We've controlled time of possession. We've controlled the clock. We've used our running game to our advantage. But the defense is more of a concern at this point than the offense. I think that's something that we can mostly all agree on. Now, without Clowney and possibly without Myles moving forward, it's going to get even more interesting and it's going to get even more dicey. When we talk about Atlanta, we'll go into why this game might not be a layup like some people might think it is. Jeanette says, looking forward to seeing the big three, Cooper, DPJ, and Njoku. Pair them with the running game. The Browns are going to win a lot of games. And this is big. This is big, Jeanette, and I think you're right. Jacoby Brissett has done an outstanding job of moving the ball when he has to, and Kevin Stefanski has done an outstanding job calling these games. There's a couple times where I've been like, run the effing ball. Like I'm yelling at the TV, run the ball. But, we've actually run the ball more than we've passed it. We have a winning formula. I tweeted out earlier, I think we have 540 something yards on the ground, or 560 something on the ground, 540 something on the pass. And I think we have 38 rushing attempts per game as opposed to 31 passing attempts. So to me, this is a winning formula, right? Run the ball, chew up the clock, be efficient when you do pass it. You don't have to have fireworks, right?
Right.
So the DPJ possession ball, he was great at playing possessions in game one. Amari Cooper, the past 2 games, has been phenomenal. It's not just about big plays. It's about controlling the ball. We have a ton of first downs, meaning we're chewing up the clock. This is the game plan, and it is going as planned. Now, will that continue? We'll get into that with Atlanta. Ryan, who impressed you most on offense against the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Are we doing? Is this my dog of the week? Or are we doing?
Nope.
No. Oh.
Nope. Or what impressed you the most? Was it the play calling? Was it the line? Was it the run game?
I would probably say Jacoby and Amari's chemistry. I think they have a really good chemistry, and it's kind of shown over the last 2 games. Amari is just so good at route running that he can really make people look stupid in space. And, I think him and Jacoby have just had this nice little rhythm going, and I think it's exciting for Browns fans. And, it's something that we can really look forward to moving forward. I would say the passing game has been a little bit better than what I've expected it to be. So, hopefully we can continue that against more prominent teams in the league. But I would say that the passing offense really has kind of come alive a little bit more than I expected it to.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you. And I thought the offensive line did an outstanding job. And as Ben said, there's been some great breakdowns on social media. Yep. And what Joe said here, Joe Starkey said, Njoku coming alive. Absolutely. Like this
Right.
was not a breakout game for him, but it was kind of his season breakout, I guess you would say, because
Sure.
he outside of some run blocking and things like that, his production was relatively not, I mean, it was there, but it wasn't seen, right? It
Right.
wasn't through the passing game for the first 2 weeks. Skylar says, I'm excited that Njoku is finally forming into a true tight end one. And this is exactly why they gave him the money. You know, they paid him for his ceiling. They expect him to realize his ceiling, and they're going to put him in the best position to succeed. They didn't pay him for past production. Certainly that was part of it, but, you know, we've talked about that a ton over the past year. All right, so going in on, let's go to defense. Phillips, Joe Starkey says Phillips coming in and filling in and making a big contribution. I agree there as well. Big loss in Anthony Walker. Huge loss. Anthony Walker was playing so well this year.
Yeah, he was killing it.
So well. All right, Ryan, what do you think of our defense?
I said it earlier. Defense still leaves a lot to be desired. You know, I'm extremely concerned moving forward without Walker. You touched on that. He's been playing extremely well. He's the green dot on the defense. So there is a little bit of a drop off there with Phillips. I think Phillips is still raw. I think he, you know, has some issues with assignment play, you know, here and there. But you know, the defense being banged up has really got me concerned, and especially due to the fact that they really haven't been playing the greatest. You know, you could see the difference in the pass rush without Clowney in the game. It makes it a lot easier to double team Myles. Myles isn't as productive. You know, yes, he's getting double and triple teamed all game. You know, it's hard to be productive when you have that. But that's why Jadeveon's so important to this defense, is because he draws some of that to his side of the field. And when he's not there and you're not really concerned about who's in his place, it's a lot easier to kind of, you know, try to take Myles out of the game. So, you know, you see the pass rush suffer a little bit, you know, and then you get some injuries in the back seven. And so it's, you know, it's a little concerning. I'm interested to see how we look against teams like, you know, the Chargers and the Buccaneers and the Patriots and some of these more high powered offenses, because they haven't looked the best to date. So, you know, it was another meh performance by the defense. They got it done. They won, and, you know, move on.
All right. And we're going to kind of go to now after Thursday night games. We don't go live until Tuesday, so we don't spend quite as much time. Most of us have already worked through how we feel about the games and things like that. So we're going to kind of keep this part of the episode pretty brief. What we'll do now is we are going to do our Dogs of the Week. And before we do that, if you're just now tuning in, we are the Dawgs Table, a Cleveland Browns Roundtable discussion show. We go live every Tuesday at 9. If you're on Facebook or YouTube, which you can also watch live on Twitter, but if you're on Facebook or YouTube, you can comment like Joe did here, or Craig, or Skylar.
Yes, Craig, I'll be there.
Yep. But we can interact with your comments. We can display them. You can ask us questions. You can roast us, whatever you want to do. About halfway through the show, we're going to put a link in the comments on YouTube and Facebook, and you can actually join the show and video chat with us. Anybody can join. We haven't had to kick anybody out yet, surprisingly. But yeah, let's go to our City Dogs of Cleveland Dogs of the Week. Here we go. Now, this is the City Dogs of Cleveland Dogs of the Week, and the reason why that is we choose an offensive and defensive MVP each and every week. But not only do we do that, we feature a Dog of the Week from City Dogs of Cleveland. It's an adoptable dog, and we can help connect you with them if you are looking to add to your home. We're going to feature the same dog as last week, all right? And then we'll get into our offensive and defensive Dogs of the Week. This is Cameron. And Cameron's about 5 years old, weighs in at about 76 pounds. He's got a soft side. He's a relatively sensitive guy, but that comes with being mellow and being able to have a routine and things like that. He knows how to sit, shake, seems like he's housebroken. And he he likes walking. He likes walking on a leash, which what dog doesn't, right? That is Cameron. There's another photo there. Cameron being playful. And yeah, very good boy,
catching
right?
a biscuit? Is that a biscuit or a cookie or something?
I think that's a dog treat like a biscuit. Yeah, absolutely. It kind of camouflages in there, but yeah, that is Cameron, and you can find him at City Dogs of Cleveland. You can find them on social media. You can Google them. Their website will come up. Actually, I have a graphic here. That's not Cameron, but this is their information. City Dogs of Cleveland, at City Dogs CLE on Twitter, at City Dogs Cleveland on Facebook, or you can reach them 216-664-3476. Yeah, and if you don't want to reach out, you would rather have us connect you personally with them, we can do that too. We'd be happy to do that for you. All right, Ryan, give me your offensive dog of the week.
I'm going to go with Nick. There's a couple choices, right? I mean,
right? It's a tough one.
It is a tough one this week because the offense performed so well. I wanted to pick Jacoby again just because I picked him last week and he's making me look like a damn genius. But I'm going to go with Nick Chubb. I think his ability to manage the run game by himself. Kareem came in and had a couple plays here and there, but Nick is just he's something else. He does something to impress you every time he touches the ball, every game. So I'm going to go with Nick on this one. I believe he had, was it 110 yards total?
23 carries, 113 yards, and a 113. Touchdown.
Yeah, so I was close. But yeah, I'm going to go with the good old Nick Chubby on this one. He's a beast, and he just we watch him play. He just kind of blows your mind.
Yeah, and part of the Browns' formula to success, I think, is the run game. Getting Nick Chubb 20-plus carries, have him take about 66% of 2/3 of the workload. Kareem Hunt had 12 carries for 47 yards. The split was a little bit different than the 2 weeks before, but ultimately, heavy run game is, in my opinion, key to victory. Jacoby Brissett was 21 of 31 for 220 yards and 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. But he's not my dog of the week. Amari Cooper, 7 receptions on 11 targets, 101 yards, 1 touchdown. Not my dog of the week. My offensive dog of the week is David Njoku, 9 receptions on 10 targets, 89 yards, and a touchdown. He was a huge factor in this game, and he was a big. He led the team in receptions. He was the most efficient target, and 9 of those 21 passes that Brissett completed went to him. Plus, he had the touchdown. It was just it was a really good, encouraging coming out party.
Good pick
this year. So, Jay, thanks for joining the show. Hope the defense gels together soon. I'm sure we'll be talking about that here shortly. All right, Ryan, defensive dog of the week. Who you got?
Nobody.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. No. I'm going to go with Jacob Phillips on this one. I believe he had 2 solo tackles, 5 tackles, assisted tackles, and even had a sack in this game. And actually, at one point, I didn't even realize that Anthony Walker was out. So, I mean, he came in and he filled in really well, played really well. I know he's got some growing pains that we're going to go through, but he's going to be a significant portion of or part of the defense moving forward. So, with Walker being out, like we said, it's going to be a big deal. So, I was impressed with him. He came in, he played really well. I want to say it was later in the game, but like I said, I didn't even realize Walker was out for a portion of the time that he was. So, I'm going to go with Mr. Jacob Phillips.
All right. This was kind of a tough one. We had some guys come in and fill in really well, right? Isaac Rochelle, Jacob Phillips came in, filled in great. But I'm going to have to give it to somebody based on one play because I was scared to death that history was going to repeat itself and we were going to find a way to lose this game. And if it wasn't for a John Johnson forced fumble, they certainly could have been driving down the field and put themselves in a position to get ahead of us. So I'm going to go with John Johnson just because of that. The defense, it was a little bit frustrating. It wasn't like, I don't know. It didn't have me cussing and, stuff like that. But at the same time, it wasn't real feel good. You know what I mean? So it was a little tough to choose somebody this week. Hopefully Anthony Walker does well. Now, Ryan, big debate. Was the flop on Anthony Walker dirty?
I don't know. That's such a hard thing. Like, I didn't see it happen in real time. All I saw was the Twitter replays of it. That happens a lot in the NFL where, they block somebody and then the offensive lineman like flops on them to essentially keep them from getting up and getting back into the play. I think we may be just being a little bit sensitive about it because we're Browns fans, and he got hurt on the play. But the initial hit on Walker actually wasn't even that bad. I think Walker had more of an issue with his leg because of how it kind of curled up underneath him. But it's football, guys. I mean, if you guys knew the stuff that happens in the bottom of piles in the NFL and what people do to each other down there and say to each other, I mean, the flop is the flop. I mean, 9 times out of 10, these guys are getting hurt because they're jumping in late on plays and hurting their own teammates. So it's hard for me to get, mad at an offensive lineman from another team trying to get a pancake block. It was a little late. Yeah. But I don't think he was intentionally trying to break anybody's back or anything like that.
All right. Myles Garrett called it a bullshit play. So, it's what's he
knows more than I do. I mean, he plays.
But speaking of Myles Garrett, most of you know, I'm sure he got into a car accident yesterday. And I think we kind of know what his injuries are. But as far as the severity and impact it has on the schedule, I don't think it's crystal clear, right? Walker we did lose Walker last year, didn't we?
Yeah, he had some injury issues last year too.
Yeah. Man, he was playing so well too.
He was playing lights out. So
back to what I was getting at. Myles Garrett was in a car accident. He was driving in his Porsche Turbo S, and he ended up rolling over the vehicle for one reason or another. Him and a unknown female passenger were taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Now, that was very vague for a car accident, right? Because minor injuries in a car accident are very different from minor injuries in a football game.
Yeah.
And you have this massive human being in this compact sports car. So in generally exotic cars or sports cars aren't designed with safety in mind. They're designed with performance.
Right.
My brother actually works for Porsche. I sent him a picture and I was like, oh, is this what it would look like if it rolls over? Because at first I saw the photos and I was like, for a sports car, that actually looks like it's pretty intact.
Right. That's what I thought
he's like, listen, he was like, that's the top end 911 Turbo S. He said, I've wrenched on the rally cars that have come back wrecked. He's like, that's what it looks like when they roll over. So, there's been a lot of sports cars where he may not have been as lucky. So we're all grateful that he's okay.
Absolutely. I think I did gather that he, the reason for the accident was he was swerving to get out of the way of an animal crossing the road.
Yes. And apparently this was the focus of a huge back and forth argument between a number of people on social media today. And I had no idea that people were this passionate about whether or not you should hit an animal. Right. The things that I was seeing were so obscure. Somebody commented on one of my posts and they're like, oh, like people are saying he should be suspended for driving a sports car. Or athletes shouldn't drive sports cars because this is what happens. Or, things like that. Guys, they can drive whatever they want.
Yeah.
Needs to get an SUV or truck in that area.
Yeah, remember, Jay, it's still summertime fall time.
Well,
so
I mean, it was wet and it was on a 2-lane road. Like, we don't know if he was driving recklessly or not.
They said he was only going 60 miles an hour in a 35, 45 zone. So it wasn't, I mean, it's a little fast, but I mean, I'm sure most of us in Ohio have driven, fast in the highway and things like that. So,
and it's one of those things where, I mean, they're car accidents. They happen all day. It does. he wasn't drunk. He wasn't high. Maybe he was texting. Maybe he was speeding. We don't
Never know.
But,
Yeah.
1,000% driving a sports car if I had that kind of money.
Right? Yeah.
That one's actually pretty modest for a man that makes the kind of money.
For sure.
Maybe it's because he can't fit in a Lamborghini or a Ferrari, but he's human. Who has a right to say what he should drive? What's happening, D? This was like a big subject today, and I'm like,
let's be honest. People are stupid. I mean, we're just happy that I'm just happy that Myles didn't die. He could have been dead.
Yes.
He could have killed his passenger. I mean, it could have been a much worse story than what it was. So I think he's very lucky as a human being that he didn't lose his life. And, I think we're lucky as Browns fans, you know what I mean? Obviously, but you never want to see somebody lose their life, they're human beings. So it could have been a tragic thing. And I think everybody involved is very, very lucky that it wasn't worse than what it was.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with these sports cars. I mean, you saw what happened with Paul Walker. The guy from Jackass. You don't have to be going 100 miles an hour for one of these things to just go up in flames. Sometimes these things catch on fires at stoplights. Yeah. Can he fit in a Mustang GT? That's a great question.
He probably can. If he can fit a Porsche, he can fit in that.
Tiger Woods was driving an SUV.
Of course, Cedric knows that because he's a golf nut. And I saw your quote from earlier, Cedric, so you better watch yourself. I'm going to text you after the show.
All right. So, we're just grateful that he's okay. We don't know anything about the passenger. We don't know the identity, the condition, other than non-life threatening. They took her to a separate hospital. I think they're going out of their way to protect her identity, not for nefarious reasons, but for privacy.
I don't remember ever seeing any pictures or anything in the public of him with a girlfriend or anything like that. So, they just may like to keep their personal life personal, whatever, private.
Yeah. And, the body cam footage was encouraging. So there was released footage from a police officer who was wearing a body cam at the accident. And, you could see Myles had some blood on his hand. They had kind of cut or ripped his shirt. They were examining him. He stood up, was able to stand up and walk. And, that was encouraging. And, if he's okay and he's ready and able and willing to play, fine. But when I started seeing people criticizing the idea of him not playing, and I'm like, come on, guys, you guys can't really be like, oh, if he doesn't play, there's people like, I got in a car accident and went back to work the same day. Like, stop. Stop, guys. All right.
Yeah. I mean, the guy rolled his car 3 times. He's got a bicep strain, a shoulder strain. Chances are he probably is not going to play this weekend, if I had to guess. But,
they did leave the door open, though. They said the team doctors will monitor him throughout the week.
Knowing him, he'll probably try to go, but, it's. Yeah. We don't have any room to be criticizing anybody who's rolled over in a vehicle 3 times going 60 miles an hour. So
Kellen Winslow, at least he wasn't on a motorcycle like him or covering an onside kick. That was a rough one. That was the Dallas game that year, wasn't it?
I believe so.
Snapped his leg. All right.
Yep.
So let's get into the Atlanta Falcons. We are going on the road. We are favorites on the road. We are going up again. Are you arguing with me, Ryan, already?
Oh, why?
Okay. I think
I'm sorry. I was pulling up their stuff.
I think we opened up around 4.5 point favorites.
Okay.
Depending on where you were looking, it might have been 3.
Okay.
The implied total for this game, I think, is essentially 26-24, something like that. 25-23.
I didn't make a face, Steve. What are you talking about? I'm going to fight you.
I saw it. I saw it. D saw it. Everybody saw it. All right. So defense is going to look a little bit differently. I think that we're going to be without Clowney. We're going to be without Garrett. We're going to be without Anthony Walker. The strongest room on the field is the one that's been struggling the most, and that is our defensive backfield. So if there's a game that we need them to come out and get back to the form that we know they can, we know that there's talent and we know what they can do. We've seen them do it, especially Ward and Newsome.
Yeah.
We need that more than anything. Now, there's a different element to this game, and I think I saw Jay bring this up down in the comments. He says defense needs to watch the quarterback running the ball. Couple of things about Atlanta. I was going back and looking at their splits, their efficiencies, things like that. They are actually a very similar team to us tendency-wise. They run the ball more than they pass. They have the same type of quarterback, right? They want him to play efficiently, mistake-free football without turning it over, but they don't want to have to put the game into his hands. They also have talent on offense. They have Kyle Pitts. They have Drake London.
Cordero
Patterson. This is not going to be a walk in the park. No. They've actually scored more points than us, I believe, so far this year.
They're averaging like 26.5 points a game.
So I had looked this up because there was a graphic floating around even yesterday and the day before of the Browns being at the top of the points scored totals for the season. But it was including our week 3 and nobody else's week 3. It came out before Sunday after Thursday. So I actually looked up where we were when you look at points scored. And we're, I think, top 10, but we're out of the top 5, I think. Atlanta's actually scored more points than us. From an efficiency aspect of things, we are a little bit more efficient on both offense and defense. We have the edge.
Okay.
Ben's right here. We have to own the clock.
Yeah.
One of the things that's helped us win games is dominating time of possession. Now, when looking at Atlanta's time of possession, they're about split down the middle. They have given up, like, the average the other team has is like 29 minutes and change. We're a little bit better than that. Go ahead, Ryan.
I was just going to say, for those listening or watching that don't know much about Atlanta's season so far, they're 1-2. They started off the season with a 1-point loss to the New Orleans Saints at home, then a 4-point loss to the Rams on the road, 27-31, and then a 4-point win in Seattle this past weekend, 27-23. And that first game of the season against the Saints was 27-26. So they've been in every game that they've played so far. They've scored a decent amount in each of the 3 games that they've had. So, like you said, it's not going to be a walk in the park by any means.
Yeah, and this is really where we're going to find out how we're going to look moving forward, right? We all came into the season, and some of us more enthusiastically than others, but I think all of us said this is the beginning of the season. The first 4 games is our quote-unquote, where's my camera, quote-unquote easy stretch, right?
Right.
Nothing's easy, but that was our easy stretch. Now things are looking a little bit better with New England and the Chargers after that. But it only gets harder from here. All right. So we all know that I'm a very cautiously optimistic person when it comes to pretty much everything. I think that if we win this game, we have a chance the next 2 weeks. If we don't win this game, I'm going to get increasingly concerned going into the harder part of our schedule. Atlanta's not a walk in the park by any means, but if we can't beat a mediocre team, this isn't the Miami Dolphins or the Buffalo Bills. They're just not. Skylar says Atlanta's defense is really inconsistent, so hopefully Stefanski can take advantage of that. Absolutely.
Their defense is kind of like ours, to be honest. They have playmakers on the defense that just isn't consistent. And, is it going to be a tale of the defense? Whose defense steps up? Whose star player is willing to step up and, make a game-changing play? I mean, it's like you said, time of possession and controlling the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball is going to be very important in this game.
Yeah, I think. And so who was it they started off the season against? The Saints, right?
The Saints, yeah.
So they, I believe, held Alvin Kamara in check pretty well. Then it was the Rams, right?
Yep.
I'm pretty sure the Rams couldn't really run on them. Seahawks didn't really run on them very well.
Darrell Henderson the Rams had about 90, just a little bit over 90 yards total. Cam Akers had 44. And then Darrell Henderson had 47 and a touchdown. And then in the first game, they held Kamara to.
So the Rams were able to run the ball on him a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. Why did that come up funky? Sorry. Let's see here. Saints box score. Okay, there you go. And then, so they did. I mean, Taysom Hill had 81 yards rushing in the first game and a touchdown.
That's right. Taysom had that ridiculous.
Kamara had 39.
D says, I felt a lot more confident prior to Myles' accident.
Jameis Winston passed. He went 23 for 34, 269, and 2 touchdowns against them. 119.2 QBR rating.
I think that we are going to see basically copy and paste what we've done so far this year, right?
100%. Yeah.
Throw the ball 25 to 30 times, 200 to 220 yards, 1 or 2 touchdowns. I'm willing to bet that, based on, some averages and forecasting and stuff, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Brissett throw a pick this game. He's going to throw picks. It's going to
Matthew Stafford threw 2. The thing that I find interesting about the Falcons is that all 3 quarterbacks that they've faced so far this year has had over a 100 QBR. So, I mean, even in this last game, Geno Smith had a 106.5 QBR. He went 32 for 44, 325 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. So, they're giving up some passing yards. It looks like. It seems like moving the ball on them hasn't been too difficult on defense. So, that's interesting to me. I think with the way Jacoby's playing, if he can come up with another game like that, I think we got a good shot.
Can you, Ryan, can you look up Mariota's quarterback rating for each of the first 3 games? If you pull up like a season game log, you should be able to see it. One of the things that I'm fairly confident when I say this, and I bet that what I'm asking him to look up will show it. I bet you he's gotten better each game.
85.6 against the Saints.
Okay.
104.2 against the
Rams?
Seahawks. I'm sorry, Seahawks. I skipped one. And then the Rams, he was. Why is it doing that? Stop doing that. There we go. Rams, he was 108.3.
Okay, so
pretty, yeah, definitely improved.
He's getting better. The more he's on the field, he's getting better also. So, Jared says those teams didn't have a Nick Chubb. Our defense really needs to step up. Our offense can keep up with anyone. Jared, I love your enthusiasm. I'm a little bit more tempered in mine. Yeah. Rich says Kyle Pitts and Drake London are going to go off without getting QB pressure.
We didn't even mention Kyle Pitts. I forgot about that.
Yeah. So, and Kyle Pitts is starting to kind of get more involved. The X factor for them is going to be Marcus Mariota's run game. This is practice for the Ravens, right? We haven't really faced a mobile QB yet. I'm not comparing Mariota to Lamar Jackson, other than the fact that they will run the ball with the quarterback. If we can't contain Mariota, Baltimore's going to be a bloodbath, or it's going to look that way. So, keys to the game for me, it's the running game for sure. Got to get Nick Chubb going. I want to see more run plays than pass. I want to see Nick Chubb get 20 plus carries, and I want Kareem to have between 10 and 15 carries. Okay. I want Brissett to have to throw the ball no more than 25 to 27 times. Okay. If Brissett can come out of this completing 68% of his passes on 25 throws for 190 yards and a touchdown or two. That is a win, in my opinion. I think you give the ball to Nick Chubb 20 plus times, you'll see that 120 to 140 yards at least, and we'll get some points on the board that way. We don't need fireworks. And if, where we would lose this game, in my opinion, is if this turns into a shootout. Because, again, Jacoby has played so well, and he's exceeded my expectations. But I still do not believe that he's a quarterback that is going to bail us out chasing points in a shootout. I just don't think that's who he is.
I don't know.
I think he can... Huh?
I think it just depends. I think it would depend on who you're playing in that scenario. I mean, if you got a shootout versus, I mean, if you're in a shootout against the Falcons versus someone like the Chargers, who has, a top tier defense, I would say that would probably be an accurate thing. But I think he could do it against lesser talent. I just don't think he's somebody who's going to do it in a, high level playoff game or a game with somebody with a defense that's that great. But I know what you're saying. I have a little bit more faith in him than you do. So,
yeah. And when I say that, and my optimism is still kind of compressed a little bit, or,
right.
I'm not letting it get out of control. Keep in mind, guys, like I came into this thinking like I saw Jacoby in Indy. I saw him in Miami. It's really hard to teach an old dog new tricks. But it's one of those things too, where there's been a lot of awful quarterbacks have great 2-1 starts to a season.
Right.
If I will be the first to be like, he was the guy, if he gets us to where we need to go, I'm rooting for him. I'm not rooting against him. But Brian Hoyer has had great 3-game stretches. Matt Schaub, a lot of guys.
Sure.
A lot of guys have had great 3-game stretches.
Yeah. I mean, the nice thing about Stefanski's offense, though, is that you don't need the superstar for right now. Like right now, we need the game manager, right? And he actually kind of fills that role perfectly. Like he just manages the game and is efficient and, makes the smart throw. And I mean, he's had a couple bad throws here and there, but eventually you want to see Deshaun Watson in that system where he's going to bring that electricity to it, right? But right now they're just trying to manage the line of scrimmage and survive until they can get him back. And I think that's why Jacoby is excelling in the way that he is because he's more of a game manager. And I think that's where Baker suffered at times, is that his head wasn't in it as well as it should have been. And I think you can trust Jacoby a little bit more to run certain things versus, you could tell that Stefanski didn't trust Baker. So not to bring up Baker again, but it's a comparison I had to make. So you're muted.
All I'm going to say about that is Baker is playing like shit right now.
Yeah.
I am not in a rush to declare his career over any more than I'm in a rush to say Jacoby Brissett is showing us what he's going to continue to show us.
Right.
It's encouraging. He's trending. Jacoby Brissett trending up. Baker Mayfield trending down.
Would you say that it's more realistic that Jacoby's going to keep playing average to above average versus Baker lighten it up this season?
I think they have similar chances of doing each.
Ugh.
Here's the divide here. Is wins a quarterback stat? The great debate.
Right.
If we look at Jacoby and you can make different arguments. You can give him credit for wins and say he's got a winning record. He's had winning records when filling in. But if you make that argument, I don't know. He's been a career backup for a reason. He'll continue to be that, in my opinion. I want to put something to bed. Let's step away from the preview just for a second. Okay. D, I see you. D offered to help with social media, but she keeps posting She keeps creating images of Baker getting like his head chopped off and stuff.
Jesus, D.
So, all right, let me put something to bed. I love you, D. I'm just picking on you. All right. Jacoby Brissett could throw for 300 yards a game, not throw a single pick, and go undefeated through week 12 or 13 or whatever it is until Deshaun Watson come back. He is not going to start over Deshaun Watson when Watson is eligible. I can't believe this is a debate. Number 2, Jacoby Brissett and Pro Bowl, not in the same sentence. Keep them separate, okay? Jacoby's been playing fine. Jacoby, even if let's say I'm wrong and I'm just not being optimistic enough, and he's playing at a good level, and we can say Jacoby Brissett is a good quarterback comfortably. He is not a Pro Bowl quarterback. Not in the AFC with Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen and Justin Herbert and Derek Carr and Russell Wilson and all these other guys, right? Stop it. Jacoby Brissett is A, not going to start over Deshaun Watson, and B, not going to the Pro Bowl. I promise you. I promise you neither of those two things are going to happen.
Correct.
It's just not going to. But he is very lucky that we play Miami, Buffalo, and Tampa Bay after our bye. Because if that was a Panthers, Jets, Steelers stretch, and he was playing as well for the rest of the season as he is now, he would be traded at the trade deadline. 100%, because Andrew Berry values draft picks, and Brissett doesn't have a whole lot to offer after Deshaun Watson comes back. But if our season is competitive, that means Jacoby is not losing games for us, which means we will need him for Buffalo, Miami, and Tampa Bay after the bye. So he is fortunate, because that could have been a Josh Dobbs stretch. Jacoby is playing the way he was supposed to play. This is from Skylar as a game manager and to make throws when he has to. Absolutely. He's doing everything he's asked to do. I just don't want to perpetuate a conversation in which he's an all-pro or comeback player of the year or MVP or Pro Bowl or this, that, or starting over Deshaun Watson.
I firmly believe that Jacoby Brissett is going to keep us competitive as long as we need to. I think it's much more likely that we lose games to top-tier teams because of our defense. I think that's going to be the reason that we're going to lose some games down the stretch here. I think our defense is going to get abused by some teams like Miami and the Chargers and possibly even Tampa Bay. So I think those are going to be games that there's going to be games that we're going to lose that the defense are going to be responsible for. I think that's a much higher probability than Jacoby not keeping us in a game.
All right. So you'll see here, I have displayed this comment by BIGPLAY Cleveland, the StreamYard link. That is the one you can click to join the show if you would like, through audio or video. It's real easy. Anybody can do it. Even if you're not tech savvy, feel free to join us. We do have a dawgstable.com contributor in the dog pen. We're going to bring him in. Ethan, how's it going tonight?
Hey, what's going on, fellas? It's in the words of the great Tony Rizzo, it's good to be alive.
There you go. Absolutely. Give us your thoughts. I'm sure you caught, the most recent part of our conversation. Give us your thoughts on what we're talking about here.
All right. So as my sound blipped in a little bit there, as I was trying to do some configurations, we're talking about Jacoby Brissett. Yes.
Yes. Is he a Pro Bowler, and will there be a quarterback controversy?
No. This is ridiculous. This is a ridiculous discussion. Let's drop the discussion, like you said, Craig. It's not happening. Okay. Come the Houston Texans week. Deshaun Watson is your $230 million man. He will have had well over 5 weeks of practice under his belt on the practice fields with the team. He's going to be in there. Okay. As nice as Jacoby Brissett is playing, he has a certain ceiling. He has certain limitations. That's not to say that he's doing a bad job. People can succeed in this Kevin Stefanski system. We saw Baker Mayfield do it, for for one great season, and then not so much, And I think that we've just got to hope that Jacoby can keep up the good play. We have got to take advantage of the opportunities that are in front of us. I, don't mean to go a little bit off topic here, but you mentioned this earlier. We talked about what part of the schedule, when we play the schedule game, you looked at the first 4 weeks, you said, this is the quote unquote easier part of the schedule. And then you looked after that and you started saying, gosh, this is looking kind of murderous. You got the Chargers, and then you got the Patriots at home. Then you start getting into the Baltimore, Cincinnati, etc. Well, as you mentioned, things are kind of, evolving in the situations with quarterbacks there. You got Herbert, who is banged up. That rib cartilage, that's not a good thing. And their offensive line, they lost what their pardon me, I'm having a brain cramp here and not recalling the name of their top. Their top offensive lineman, who went down to injury for the season or an extended period of time. Bottom line, that makes things a little bit tougher on for the Chargers. Not to say that they're without weapons or anything of that nature, but they're vulnerable. They are definitely vulnerable, not having Bosa, and we'll see how Keenan Allen bounces back with the hamstring, I believe was his injury.
Yeah.
So we're going to see how that all goes. Then you'll look at the Patriots. We might be looking at Hoyer the Destroyer. He's going to come in, do a Roman burger commercial for Mr. Hero, and
revenge game.
It'll be fantastic. So with that all being said, we circle back here to Atlanta. We've got to manage this game. Jacoby Brissett needs to do exactly what he's been doing. Hand the ball off, run heavy. Our offensive line has been fantastic so far. Not only opening up the running lanes, but protecting Brissett, keeping him out of trouble. And he has made some good plays with his legs, albeit limited. The defense, that's still a big question mark. Now, you say, okay, what does this Myles Garrett injury do? I don't know how much it does, because he was a non-factor against Pittsburgh, essentially. No one was really getting a lot of pressure on Trubisky. Seems like they need to dial up some exotic blitzes or something of that nature. The defensive backfield, they were a little bit better playing more of the man scheme as opposed to the zone scheme. And God love them, the special teams, they're something special. Let's put it that way. But good news is you're kicking in a dome, so you don't have to worry about weather factors. As long as Cade York doesn't have his head up his rear end, should be all right. And hopefully nothing comes down to an onside kick where we have to rely on Anthony Schwartz to save our asses.
Golly.
Skylar says it's not Hoyer's revenge game. It's Mac Wilson's. I would love a Johnny Manziel interview
and Peppers
while Hoyer is playing. Yeah, and Peppers. Middle dog cross. All right, so yeah, it is nice that we're playing in a dome this week with Cade York. I feel like he needs to get back on track. Like, he's not completely off the rails, but playing kicker is probably one of the more psychologically difficult or impactful positions in football. Sports psychiatry is a thing with kickers for sure. Maybe even more so than with quarterbacks.
Cade York's got big cojones. He'll be all right.
Right. So I forget. There was another direction I was going to go. Let me look at the comments here. I just can't remember what I was thinking.
Is it prediction time?
We can get to predictions. Ryan, I think you volunteered to go first.
Oh boy. So I really want to just say the Browns are going to lose, just because the last 2 times I've said they were going to lose, they won. So I'm hoping that that's going to happen again. But all seriousness, I think this one is going to be close. I don't see this one as a blowout on either side, or a significant. I'm going to go 21-27 Browns. 27-21 Browns.
Okay, fair enough. Ethan, what are you thinking?
Oh, geez, thinking about the reverse psychology there, the jinx, these things are all in play. Mariota.
So did I just jinx us?
I don't know. I'm really not sure here.
Can I take that back?
But did
Jinx,
you know?
You owe me a Labatt.
Dang
right.
it.
Did you know that according to the great Homer Simpson, trying is just the first step toward failure?
It's true.
And they're going to go out there and try and let's go. But no, I in all seriousness, I think that this team will hopefully be dialed in. I feel like Atlanta doesn't have that great of a defense as you guys mentioned. You touched upon it. It's much like ours. The key being our ability to control the clock. And I am going to go out on a big limb here. I'm going to go out on the flogging stick, and let's go 27-14 Clowns.
All right. No
We're
pressure,
both at 27.
Craig.
We're both at 27. I like it.
So you guys are both picking the Browns.
Yep.
Right.
Reluctantly.
I'm pretty reluctant too. I'm going to take the over on this game. And I think that the way we lose it is exactly what I talked about earlier, and that is not being able to compete in a shootout and play from behind. I think what happens is I think we get a lead, we try to control it, we let them get ahead of us, and then we can't get back in it. I'm going to take the Falcons on the over 31-24. 31-24.
Okay.
We have a more efficient offense. If we had Garrett and Clowney, I would be a lot closer, and I'd be kind of like flipping a coin. But assuming those two aren't playing, I'm going with Atlanta. So hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully I'm wrong.
We just switched roles this time.
Right. Anything else that you guys want to bring to the table before we get out of here? Any of you guys in the comments have any questions for us?
I don't have anything else.
Well, I do have a thought.
Sure.
Okay. It's interesting. We're all here. We're talking. We're media type folk, I would say.
Yeah.
And the overreaction culture we have out there is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
And the quote unquote reporting that we get and I'm bringing this up, I'm talking about the Myles Garrett situation here. And
Sure.
You guys touched on it earlier. And it's just, I don't know about you, but it drives me nuts. It just drives me nuts. And you see the people, the trolls, the internet trolls, people sit behind their keyboards and all of a sudden they got some you talk about Cade York, big cojones. They got giant cojones when they're sitting behind their keyboard and they got lots to say. And it drives me nuts. Let's all be, good to each other. If we're all fans of the Browns, we want the best. Let's not talk about, he shouldn't drive a sports car. That's the most ridiculous thing. There's the guy that, is coming out and he said he should be charged with attempted manslaughter.
Yeah, I saw that.
All right. That one drove me nuts. All right.
Yeah.
And that guy got a lot of attention. Now,
I mean, that guy can't be serious, right?
The guy's dead serious. Attempted manslaughter is impossible. First of all, if manslaughter has occurred, somebody already died.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
That is somewhat of an
Yep.
accidental or a death is a result of.
It's either voluntary or involuntary.
Right.
Yeah.
It's voluntary or involuntary. You can
have attempted murder.
Something in a car accident like that would be more of like negligent homicide.
Right.
That's not like a attempted murder type situation.
That was obscure when I saw that. Jared says Browns by 10. York redeems himself. He goes 4 for 4.
I like it.
Ben agrees with Ethan. Craig says he's going Browns 34, Falcons 31. He's taking the over also. The Browns have been scoring points.
Yeah.
We have been scoring points. And it's great to see. It's going to be, I can't wait to see what kind of potential we have once we get Deshaun Watson on the field. yeah, it could be a good thing if our defense doesn't fall apart.
Could be.
Yeah, they really got to stick in there. Joe Woods, he's going to have to come up big. He's going to have to come up with a good scheme. I think I don't think you necessarily need a spy on Mariota, but you got to keep him in the pocket. You got to contain him and force him into errors. I think, look, if we can get up on him, it puts the pressure on the Falcons and makes it more likely that Mariota could goof one up here. But let's put it this way. I don't know. I think you guys would agree with me. It's a winnable ball game.
For sure.
Ball game.
It's also a losable ball game.
It's very losable
much so.
as well. Yeah.
It's a toss up. But if we're going to be considered a good team or one of the better teams, we got to take care of business.
Mm-hmm.
You have to beat the teams that you're technically supposed to beat, right?
Absolutely. I think that, and for most people, if you said not knowing who the results were against, and you said Browns goes through the first four games, they're 3-1. Are we happy about that?
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. So let's do it.
Yep.
What was that I said all along, Ryan? I wanted to come out at 500 after 4 or 6 games, and I'd be thrilled. In my mind, that was a gift from the football gods if we could do that. Now there's still, this is game number 4, and
we win this one, we're 3-1. You lose 2 more games after that, you're 3-3. You're 500. You get exactly what you asked for.
Yes. So if we win this one, I'm guaranteed to get what I asked for, which would be a good feeling. So,
there you go. And I will not owe you a steak dinner, baby.
Nope. It's gonna be a good steak too. Maybe Lucia's in Canton.
You're gonna owe me a steak dinner, just so you know.
Good night, Jared. Thanks for joining the show.
Hey, good night, buddy. Love you, Jared.
All right, let's end on some humor because Ethan wanted to talk about our media and our fans. So let's play a little game. I'm gonna put you guys on the spot. Let's see if we can get a little humor here. All right, Jacoby Brissett throws for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns, no picks. Write the headline for Monday morning.
Oh, what the hell?
Brisket was smoking.
Nice.
You got one, Ryan?
No, you put me on a spot. How am I supposed to come up with something like that?
Man.
You're not a headline writer? Come on, man.
I should
put no headline writer.
I should make like a caption contest or something like that on Twitter, because the narrative after last week's game is already Jacoby Brissett's a Pro Bowl quarterback, and there's a quarterback controversy if he keeps playing like this. I can't imagine what would happen if he threw for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns.
I know what my headline
people would come up with. Huh?
Greg owes Ryan a steak dinner.
Greg owes Ryan a steak dinner. God, wouldn't that be a sight to see, though?
It would be.
All right. So, Ethan, appreciate you joining the show. We're going to close this one out.
Thanks for having me.
Foster said, yeah, absolutely, Ethan. Thank you. Check out his work at dawgstable.com. Craig said Nick Chubb, 200 yards rushing, 1 touchdown. That is far more likely, in my opinion. Yeah. We'll see. Ben says they're gonna put shit on the front page. I'm down. I think Ben's from Canada. Are they allowed to do that up there? I don't know if we would have the balls to do that down here.
I don't think so.
Yeah. I think they're more polite in Canada too. So
yeah.
I don't know. Maybe. That might be a myth. I've only been there once.
I've only been there once and I was really young, so
yeah. All right. We are the Dawgs Table. We're a Cleveland Browns Roundtable discussion show. We go live every Tuesday at 9 on the Big Play Network. You can find our live shows on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Check out the audio replay if Ryan uploads it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify.
I've done every one since.
I'm giving you shit. You can, wherever you get your podcast, Ryan usually uploads it the same day or the following day. And you can catch the audio replay. Give us a like, a subscribe, a follow, a retweet, a share, depending on where you're at. Share the show. We'd certainly appreciate it. It means more to us than you would ever know. Yeah, that's it. We're brought to you by Labatt Blue Light, Remax Edge Realty, the JC Group. And until next time, go Browns.
Go Browns.